Can the Blues keep the winning alive at home? Let's talk about it.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen.
Subscribe to Lock On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about the St. Louis Blues here in the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today on Locked On Blues, I'm going to talk to you about the Blues and the Kings, give you a little bit of a preview prior to puck drop. I want to talk about Coach Montgomery's coaching style and some of the decisions that he's made that kind of have been on my mind. And then early season reactions. Now, this is something I always laugh about because prior to the beginning of the season, I always say, I'm not going to react, and I end up reacting. But so do all of you. So we all have this tendency to do this. So for me, at least, it's something that I do want to talk about because I do find it kind of funny, to be honest. Prior to beginning today's episode, I just want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Now, we're just coming back from a nice little 3-1 victory over the Stars here at home. And the Blues are going to be facing the LA Kings, who have been one of the worst teams, in my opinion, in this NHL season. We talked about that. Not so good, right? Off to a bad start. But that's the thing. When teams are off to a bad start and not playing well, and then the Blues have to face them, that makes me really nervous and apprehensive because the Blues in the past couple seasons have had this tendency to play down to their opponent. We see this all the time, right? We saw this with the Blackhawks. I mean, granted, they did start the season kind of decent. We have seen this last season with the San Jose Sharks. We see this a lot from the Blues. And I don't know if it's like coaching or players or just bad luck, but this is a tendency. So if the Blues play the way that they did against against the Dallas Stars, then they should win, right? Because the Stars, again, are one of the cup contending teams that we just played. No offense to the Kings, but they're not a cup contending team. So it is really interesting for me when you do think about it. I mean, when you think about it last season and you look at it now too, that the Blues really don't play the same when they play really good teams versus not so good teams. And you would think it would be the opposite, that they would do better against the teams that are not as good. But I'm telling you, they play down to these teams and they make dumb mistakes. I don't understand it. I'm never going to understand it. But that's the situation that this team has found themselves in time and time and time again. And personally, I want them to come out strong tonight, to take a nice dub at home, face Utah, and then head back on the road. That's the goals, right? Now, will it happen? I don't know. But it is really interesting with the Kings, by the way, because Corey Perry, yes, Corey Perry, he will be making his Kings debut tonight. He is expected to play less than 20 minutes and factor in on the power play. So I thought that was something that's so bizarre within itself. Like Corey Perry, I'm like, whoa, like, listen, you could say a lot of things about Corey Perry, right? But it's Corey Perry. Like, that's so crazy. Like, just the history, and I can't believe it. So yeah, that's kind of wild, but you know what? I guess that's what they have going for them. Now the Kings have they have kind of, I don't want to say don't have energy or don't have momentum, but that is a tendency that I've noticed that they haven't had in their games thus far, especially in the beginning period. So I will be curious to see how they come out the gates tonight. And again, I don't like saying that about professional athletes by any means, but that's just my observations. So I am going to be a little bit curious on how they do coming out of the gates. But we do have our Blues projected lineup for tonight's contest. Again, you're coming off of a 3-1 victory. This is very important to continue to, show your home crowd why they should believe in you. Because at the end of the day, the Blues have a lot of talent, mostly offensively, but they have a lot of talent. And I think that when a team like the Blackhawks upsets you 8-3 at home, not that you should be like ashamed or, embarrassed, but you should play even extra hard in the rest of your games during that homestand. So this is tonight's projected lineup. On the first line, you have centering Robert Thomas. To the left, it's Dylan Holloway. And to the right, it's Jake Neighbors. Now, this is a combination that I like a lot. I think that this kind of combination solidifies how I have been feeling about Jake Neighbors, because I honestly was really disappointed that they had him on the third line. And I did not think in any single type of way that he is a third line type of player. He is 100% a first line type of player. He's only 23 years old, very young still. And while last season, it wasn't the best for him, he has been nothing but lights out. So he is finally getting rewarded. And it sucks it couldn't be like this during, the home opener. But you know what? He's here now in the first line, and that's what matters. On the second line, you have Pius Suter centering with Bucci to the left and Snugs to the right. I do like this a lot, and I did think that Pius Suter should have been the 2C the entirety of the season. I know we're only like 5 games in, but still. And then on our third line centering, and this is one of my favorite lines, it's Captain Braden Shem. To the left, it's Mojo. To the right, it's Kyrou. And this took me by surprise because I would have never put this combination together. Now, while I would have always said Matthew Joseph is a third or fourth line type of player, I would have never thought that Jordan Kyrou would be on the third line because I don't see him as a bottom 6 player. But at the same time, I think that you have to look at it not by demotion, but rather look at it as in what's going to enhance your team. And I think Braden Shen, I know they tried him at wing last year, didn't work out for long. He is a center, 100%. You have him with Matthew Joseph, and Mojo has a lot of speed. Sometimes he's unable to control all of that energy on the ice, but he does have a lot of speed, a lot of dominance. And then you have Rugiet that, honestly, I think feeds off of Matthew Joseph. It's a really good combination. And Jordan Kyrou was able to get his first goal this season in the last contest against the Stars. So obviously that line has been somewhat of a success. You have our fourth line with Nick Buxat, and then you have Texier to the left and Nathan Walker to the right. I am such a fan of Texier. I'm such a fan of Nathan Walker. I am. And these are the type of players that enhance the team so much, because while you might look at their names and you might be like, oh, well, this guy, he's not an all-star, blah, blah, blah. They're a fundamental reason to why the Blues are successful as they are. Nathan Walker is like this 5'10", 9 guy, and he's not afraid to get into little fights or to check. He doesn't care. So big fan of that. Defense, you have Cam Fowler, Colton Parayko, Philip Broberg, Justin Folk, Tux, and Kessel, and then in net, Biddington. And we're going to transition a little bit into some of this stuff, because I do think that there is something about the team tonight that a lot of us have kind of noticed, because one of the main players that we haven't mentioned is Logan Mailloux, because he's not in the lineup tonight. But this kind of goes against something that Coach Montgomery said. But at the same time, I kind of didn't mind Kessel I'm just saying. So we're going to talk about FanDuel, and then we're going to get back into this kind of conversation as we transition over to some of Coach Montgomery's decisions. See what I did? FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because I'm a big same game parlay person. I could do same game parlays all day. Honestly, for me, I always do a money line and then I do a player prop, whether it's rushing, passing, receiving, you name it. So for me, I usually do a combo, put down $5, and most of the time I do win. So this is what I need you to do. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. When Coach Montgomery spoke about Logan Mailloux, right, a couple of days ago prior to Dallas, and he said that he wants him to be in the rafters to watch the contest because, again, against Chicago, not good. And he said that this would be the last time that he would be out of the lineup and he would be back in, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, that's not the case tonight, as we do have Matthew Kessel in on the third pair of tucks. And I thought it was really interesting. He played about 9 minutes on Saturday against Dallas, and he was +1. He also had 3 shots. And Coach Montgomery did comment on Kessel and said, I thought he was good. I thought he was aggressive. That's what you want. You want a guy who hasn't played yet to come in, and if he makes mistakes, make them out of being aggressive. The one mistake was because he was being aggressive and trying to kill a play. Know what your role is on the D Corps. Know what we value, and create an identity for yourself of being an aggressive player that finishes checks, that's firm on pucks, and that wins one-on-one battles, that gets us out of our zone, and that keeps the puck in the offensive zone. Now, I did think that was really interesting just because I think at the end of the day, you were not having Mailloux, right? But when you have a guy like Matthew Kessel play a really strong contest, maybe you go back with it and you rock and roll and you see how it goes again. My only, and I don't want to say concern, but I'm just a little bit confused because of Logan Mailloux, right? Who we got told would only be out for that one game, isn't going to be in this game. When do we expect to see him back? Because what if Matthew Kessel has another good game again? And maybe we'll see him back versus Utah in a couple of days. But it was one of those things that I don't want to say confused me by any means, because I don't like, I was confused. But I think for me, I just want to know what's going on with Logan Mailloux, because obviously you're not going to improve not being on the ice. And I think for a game, I could be wrong, but in my opinion, sometimes, I'm up in the rafters with another team, and I see things that you don't always get to see when you're on the bench or behind the bench. And I think that it gives you a really good type of bird's eye view of the rink. You're able to pick up things, take notes, right? I think it's beneficial for, a game. What I don't think is beneficial is having a young player who's only 22 years old up in the rafters again against the team, mind you, who is not that good. The Kings are not that good. And you're not giving him that experience or that opportunity. And I know that opportunities are earned. And listen, I am the first one to say it. I get it. But at the same time, what I can say, and just my observation, is we traded one of our really good players in Zach Bolduc for Logan Mailloux. As a fan, I just want to know the game plan. Is this a guy that you're going to have kind of like a platoon with him and Kessel? Like, I just want to know what's going on, like a direction at least. So my expectations are not going to be let down. Because right now, I'm confused. And I think that confusion is real. But I think that confusion comes from a place of wanting the young guy to get an opportunity again, to get a good look again. And that's what it comes down to. So right now, I think the Blues, they have a lot of good things going for them. And I think, Coach Montgomery has been doing a really good job, whether it's man-to-man coverage, zone coverage. The special teams have been better. But I mean, you're going against a team that's 1-3-2. They have one win. One. I know it's early, but still, one win. I just need to know when we're going to expect to see Logan Mailloux again. It bothers me a lot. And I think it also bothers me too, in just another sense, that while I was really critical of him, guys like who I respect the hell out of, like Chris Pronger, give the kid some time. I think Chris Pronger is such a legend. He knows the game obviously so well. So it's like everybody knows to just keep putting him in and seeing how he does. But if you're not putting him in, how are you going to see his improvement or what he needs to work on? I hate that for him. I really do. And I hate for Joel Hofer what happened the other night, where you get pulled because you're having a really bad game, like a really bad game. Binnington goes in, and then you put back in Joel Hofer. In what world does that make sense? In my opinion, unless this is like the Stanley Cup Finals, when you pull a goalie, you should not be putting him back in mentally. With goalies, it's such a mental thing, and they get in their heads, and then once it's all boop, 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 it's done. I don't get that decision. I thought it was odd. Didn't make sense to me. I think that, again, this would have been such a great game to put in Joel Hofer just because it's against a team that hasn't been off to a good start. Try to build him some confidence again. But for me, these are such minor details about the overall picture of Coach Montgomery. I mean, he's the same guy that told, Jimmy Snuggerud, don't get too comfortable, don't get an apartment yet. You have to still make the team. And I respect the hell out of that because you want your players to be fighting for a roster spot. You don't want any of them, not even the vets, to think that they're good and they're solid. You want them to still have that fight. Especially these young players need to get that planted into their heads. You're never guaranteed anything. It's from your hard work. So I did like that a lot. But I mean, man, I have to tell you, so like the Joel Hofer and the Logan Mailloux, like it bothers me. Like I am bothered by, Logan Mailloux not being in the lineup tonight. And it's something to do with Matthew Kessel. There's no anger, there's no animosity, nothing like that. It just really goes with, I want young Logan Mailloux to get, a good game under his belt and not just be sitting up in the rafters the whole time. But I'm not a head coach. Obviously, Monty is, so we got to trust that. Monarch money. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. I like using Monarch Money because everything is in one place. That is right. There's no 100 pieces of papers I'm trying to pile together. No, none of that. It's literally all in one place, and it does not take a rocket science to figure out how to use it. Trust me, some of this stuff is very confusing, but this isn't. So don't let this financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. Again, great deal, and that's monarch.com. Code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Early season reactions. This is something that I always kind of laugh about because it could be like literally 2 games into the into the season. And literally you could be like, the season's done. Or they win a couple nice games and then it literally is like, oh my God, cup time. Here we come. Blah, blah, blah. Like it always kind of makes me laugh. And with the Blues, we have gone like it's like a seesaw where we have gone up in our positivity and down in our negativity. And then we go up and down, up and down. I listen, the losses have been ugly. No denying that. And the wins have been nice. But I think we need to balance our expectations. This is a team that still has problems defensively. Not as bad as Nick Leddy, though, on San Jose. No, that's bad. I had to throw that dig in. But they still have a lot of problems defensively. I still feel like defense is an issue. And it's going to be an issue. I feel like with our goalies, like they're fine. It just stems back to me, at least defense. But again, like our goalies could be better, Binnington and Hofer. Offensively, I do go back and forth. I think the offense has been fine. That's the least of my concerns. And the reason why I say that, I mean, they're still producing a lot of shots on goal. Okay. Every game still. There's really, I mean, the fourth line I want to see a little bit more out of, but I'm not going to be too critical just because I do feel like it's the stronger part of the game. So that's fine. Special teams, I mean, hey, listen, every single person's going to say, let's see an improved special teams. I know I'm like that. So that's something that I do want to see. But it is so crazy to me, by the way, that I will be listening tonight to John Kelly. Now, while John Kelly isn't on the Blues broadcast team, he is on the Kings broadcast team. And it's somebody that I miss so much. I mean, listening to his voice feels like Blues hockey for me. And I can't tell you how odd it is to not hear his voice when watching Blues games. I mean, when you think about it, it's really, I know I did a whole episode on this, but it's really been like my entire life. And I'm hoping there will be a tribute video tonight. I hope so. It sucks. It really does suck. I mean, he's such an icon and such a legend. And, I think there is going to be a tribute video tonight. I really do think that, just based off of some of the speculation. And I know I'm going to be in tears. I think the reason I'm transitioning this, because, we're getting ready for the contest. The Blues should have never let him go. They made a really bad decision that was trying to get them to save money. But in my opinion, when you try to save money and cutting corners, you ruin what we all love as fans. And that's in the money cutting. It's just horrible. But what I will say is that I am happy when we play the Kings for, obviously, John Kelly. Happy when we play the Blackhawks for Pang. And I'll take the little victories while I can with Panger and Kelly. So on that note, let's go Blues, and hopefully they get a dub over the Kings.